What's up, everybody? This is episode 3 of the Legendary Project. We are excited to have another guest on. Sometimes I'm going to do these solo. Those are going to be a little bit brutal, but a lot of the times we're going to have interesting guests. And like I said before, it's going to be people that I respect, people that I love, that I've grown a relationship with over time, or just very interesting people. It's not going to all be real estate driven. It's not going to all be mortgage driven. It's going to be a gamut of literally everything. And what we're going to do with the Legendary Project over time is this is going to be the springboard from a publicity standpoint to then launch the Live Legendary Foundation. You heard me talk about that in the last episode. Live Legendary Foundation is going to go to fight for at-risk kids, specifically focus on sex trafficking and situations where that has happened to a child. And we're going to provide resources and all of that. And the goal is to launch that foundation in 2026. So stay tuned for that. As we continue to do more podcasts, we will have a link for you guys to be able to donate either to the podcast or to that movement. But without further ado, I've got somebody, I think we've known each other. It's got to be almost a decade now. We're kind of aging ourselves a little bit, but it's definitely got to be close to a decade now. And it's my boy, Steve Alston. Steve, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you. And I don't remember how we met. It's definitely through real estate, but.
Oh, shoot. I remember how we met. So first and foremost, Steve Alston, Keller Williams Oak Ocean, real estate agent here in the area. And I remember when we first met, it was a YPN event in 2016. It was, I can't remember if it was Atlas. I think it was Atlas. It was, it was at Atlas. We were just there. We were just sitting, not talking to nobody. And we're like, hey, what's up? What do you do? And then we just started kicking it off from there.
I was like 22 at the time. I was green behind the ears. Barely knew what a mortgage was.
Shoot, I barely knew what real estate was. I want to say I was 26 at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just new to the game. And you're one of the first mortgage people that I met, and that's one thing I love our association. And we got to connect, bond over different things. And now here we are, still continuing to grow every day, which I love.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago. I mean,
it doesn't.
Did it feel like a blink of an eye? And I've got 2 kids. You're married now, right?
Yep. Got married.
Yeah, you got married. I'm sure the little ones will be on the way at some point in the future, but no, that's cool, man. It is cool to reconnect after a lot of years. I mean, I think you were one of the first people to text me and say that you were going to hold me accountable to this podcast thing this year.
Yep.
Because you've seen my journey through the years. Like, I've always been on social. I've always been somebody that wants to put a lot of content out, but you get busy with life and it's hard to keep a show going. And I think I was one of the first people in our area to start putting podcast episodes out once podcasting got kind of popular. And Joe Rogan started taking off. Yeah. I was like, oh, I want to do that. That would be cool to do. I think it would help my mortgage business. And just honestly, it never stayed consistent. I started one, it was real raw relevant back in the day back then. And just never stayed consistent with it. So Steve was one of the first people to text me and be like, dude, I'm going to hold you to it. And I was like, well, that's cool, because you're going to come on the show. And hopefully more than once. I'm going to need to fill some spots. But Steve has been one of those people in my life that has been steady and always there, and always somebody that I can lean on and have good conversation with, and that I can pour into and have some of that time too as well. But he's also a fantastic dancer. I'm just going to say he's one of the best dancers that I know.
Head's getting bigger,
so,
but yeah.
So we'll start there. Tell me what started you, like, did you always do this, or is this like something in your adult life that you started dancing? And tell me more about that, because that's always been interesting to me.
All right, so I've always loved to dance. That's one of my favorite things that I love to do, but I didn't do it really consistently. Interesting enough, real estate actually kind of tied in on why I started doing Latin dancing, because and segue a little bit into this. So, when I got into real estate, I didn't know a damn thing about it. Like,
Yeah.
I just met a woman in a nightclub and I was like, what do you do? I see you here every Saturday. And she's like, I'm real estate. I'm like, what's that? What do you do? Help people buy and sell homes. I'm like, okay. And she gave me the study guide that you take your test. It doesn't teach you about selling, how much you can make in this industry, anything. And I'm like, yo, this sounds interesting. Now, I actually was also, seeing her daughter at the time. and unfortunately things didn't work out. I was just way more committed to changing my life more than she was at the time. And, I wished her well and everything. But she was always, this was at Revolutions now. So she was always there.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, I want to dance.
That club is no longer open.
I know. That's how old we're getting right now.
So long ago.
It's
Holy
like
moly.
a magician show or something right now.
Poof.
So, I didn't want to go there anymore. And I'm like, I got to keep dancing. So I know at the time there was like a dance competition going on in Myrtle Beach. And I met some great people through there. And they're like, you should come out Latin dancing. And, that's salsa, bachata, things like that. And I wanted to keep my mind going and keep dancing. So I ended up starting to do Latin dance. And it was at the old Hard Rock Pyramid, another thing that's not there no more, another landmark.
Yeah.
Shows our age. But that's actually how I got started dancing. So I was doing real estate and dancing. And then I was, going to Charlotte. I was training, in different states. I performed twice,
Yeah.
So I mean, like, it's kind of one of my things that is like my zen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's your happy place. Like podcasting for me is very therapeutic, very happy place for me. And honestly, there's so many different parallels because I'm played sports for a lot of years and played football and coached sports and all of that. And then of course on the dancing side, like there's a lot of technicalness to all of that,
Yes.
that like your feet go a certain place at a certain time and you got to stay with the beat and all of this. And if you're doing with a partner, there's all kinds of stuff that comes into to that. And I think it's a good parallel because in the sales and real estate and just sales industry in general, you might be doing 15 things at once. And when it all comes together and somebody sees it through their lens, they're like, that's beautiful how that all just came together. But in you executing it,
Yep.
It's way more technical than that.
It is, man.
Way more technical. So like the juggling act that we do in our professional careers, I think people that do things like dancing or like coaching football or have played sports before, I do think it equips them better because you're having to take all of this stimulus of all these different things that you have to do at one time
Yep.
and translate it into something that the finished product looks like it was effortless and it's beautiful.
Absolutely, man. I mean, and it's like, for example, with dancing, it's musicality. Musicality is creativity.
Yeah.
So, when you're coaching football, when you're playing sports, that's creativity. That's muscle memory.
Yeah.
So, we have to be creative to know who our opponent is or to become better. So that's why we're just so good in a field like this, is because even with dancing, like you learn something every day. If you're not practicing, you're not getting better, and it's repetition.
Yeah.
Just for podcasts like this is repetition.
Yeah.
So it's like when somebody holds you accountable to that repetition of something that you enjoy, that like they believe in you. They're looking for you, much like with coaching.
Yeah.
Like if I want you to do this better and be better than what you even see yourself as, that's what makes that child or that person be like, hey, I can do this because they believe in me and there's something I haven't found out about myself yet.
Yeah. And everybody from a coaching role or from a role where you're investing into other people, I do have a saying where like I want to put out value and with nothing in return, no expectation in return. That's not always 100% true because like I'm filling my cup up at the same time, because when I'm driving value, it's my happy place, or like whenever I'm doing a webinar and I can see like that light go off, or somebody emails me after, because webinars are very impersonal. I kind of don't like them, but I've committed. I've committed to one a week. But you don't get to see the people, so it is a little weird. It's almost like a solo podcast. But I fill my cup up with that, and that's something that makes me happy. And it's the coaching aspect, and like you said, through dancing or through coaching somebody to dance, because I've seen you do a little bit of that. And I think that for somebody to be effective in a field, I think a certain amount of their time does have to go to coaching somebody else or being a mentor to somebody else. Because the more that you coach something, you personally will be like, I don't actually do that.
Right.
So I'm going to start doing that because that's great advice. And I'm not doing that. So I got to practice what I preach. And also while you're repping it, you're getting better at it.
Yes.
So it's giving you more reps. And that's something for me in my personal career that has, I think, put me ahead of other people in this industry. Is I rep so many files with all these loan officers that have worked with me throughout the years that I've seen like 10,000 files.
Right.
So somebody in my career at my age and how long I've been doing it would have never seen that many files, because they weren't in a position where they were helping other people around them and looking at the files and then getting those additional at bats.
Right.
And the same thing for you on the real estate side. If you start helping somebody or coaching somebody, you're getting those additional at bats at the same time. Yep. And then on the dance side, if you want to bring it full circle with the hobby, the more at bats that you get with it, whether it be showing somebody that step, like, hey, this is how you do this 1, 2, 1, 2, like this is how you do it. That starts becoming muscle memory.
Yes.
Even though you may not be doing it, you're sitting there looking at it. And I was a quarterback coach mostly, and I would always tell my quarterbacks, get the mental reps, see what that other quarterback is doing, see what they do right, see what they do wrong, yep, and make the mental notes to make sure that if you get the opportunity, you don't make the same mistakes. And so like with sports and with activities and with dancing and all those kind of things, it just kind of comes full circle if you take a step back and really look at it at a 30,000 mile view.
Absolutely. And I mean, last year I was a part of, a dance team last year, and we performed, a couple of times here in Myrtle Beach. We performed in Miami, and doing another dance round for this year. And that's the one thing that we really utilize, is that we work out together, we practice. Practice is recorded.
Talking about practice?
Yeah, we got to practice, man. It's
Iverson. Best quote ever. You gotta talk about practice?
Dude, practice it. But the thing about when you do a podcast,
yeah,
when you're doing a webinar, or when we are selling property, or when you're working on a loan, like we do step back and we look at it.
Yeah.
Like when your step back is like doing your editing, watching the final product. Mine is like with dance, going through practice and being like, hey, I kind of messed up there. Like,
yeah.
Geez, like,
do you film it?
Yes.
You do? Yeah,
we do film it, and we critique each other because we want to become better. Yeah. But like on the real estate side of things, it's, we take a step back because we're human. We make mistakes. Yeah. It's all about learning about what you can do better and utilizing that. So like there's times I'll step back and I'm like, I could have done this. Yeah. I could have done this. I should have done this. I didn't know about this. This is great information. Let's make sure that this does not ever happen again. Yeah. Or let's
plenty
make
of
sure
those moments.
Good. Yeah. Well, let's continue to do that, because that was good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think enough people, it's a sports reference, but I would tell my quarterbacks whenever I would coach them, is the eye in the sky never lies. The film is never going to lie. Yep. You can say, Coach, I thought they were in cover 3. I'm like, bro, when you walked up to the line of scrimmage, nothing about what they were doing said cover 3. Like, what are you talking about? You threw the pick. It was cover 2. That dude dropped and you threw a pick. Like, you should have seen that. And it's the same thing with things like podcasting, with things like webinars, recording your calls, recording your routine whenever you're trying to get better at dance, recording the game so you can see what you need to do to get better. It's all the same thing. The eye in the sky is never going to lie. And the reason why I like podcasting and the reason why I've done so much video and podcasting through the years, and it sound like a lot of people would at face value see me listening to my own podcast and go, that dude really loves himself. Well, in reality, it's because I'm going, dude, when that person asked you that question and you tried to articulate an answer, you got stumbled in these different areas. Go do your research and get better.
Right.
And so that's what I use podcasting or video or recording my meetings with loan officers or whatever it might be. Most of the time I watch that entire thing back and go, you could have been better right there. You got stumbled a little bit. You weren't 100% on those topics that you were talking about. You should do a little bit better in that situation. And for me, it puts me into situations to where when I'm on the phone, I tell you right now, I don't think there's people that are better than me on the phone, mainly because I see myself so much. I see where I stumble.
Right.
I see what trips me up. And I either avoid certain things, topics that like I'm just not 100% on, or I go real hard into the things that I know that I can rip out like that and never stumble on, provide confidence because I watched the film.
Right.
And that's why I asked you if you filmed yourself practicing, because you can see that didn't look quite right. Oh, the body should have been in this position in this moment. And I think that's honestly, I don't know how anybody gets better if they don't film themselves. I just don't. Okay, you're trying to remember what you screwed up. Our attention span's 8 seconds. We're not going to remember.
Exactly.
You know? So I think that's cool. And then taking it kind of back to the full circle of how it helps in our professional lives, real estate and mortgage. Whenever you're going through that routine on the dance side, I think that you can have moments where, especially in a competition, you know that you screwed up in that moment, but you're good enough to make that screw up still look like it's part of the
Yes.
part of the routine. And I think that that's really critical in professional careers. You're not lying. It's just you make the mistakes look graceful because you've had so much repetition and so many times where you've made a mistake and you've been able to recover from that mistake and make it work. Absolutely. And I think that that's what you get whenever you do things that you're competing in front of somebody, or you're doing something that's active to where if you don't get it right, you could hurt yourself or whatever. I think people that just sit behind a desk and don't ever get that opportunity are really hindering themselves from growth that they could get to.
Right, absolutely. And that's why I think it's so important, like physically and mentally, like for everyone that's in our profession to do something, whether it's dance or whether it's coaching or whether it's yoga, you got to do something that you can get better at and you know that you want to get better at, because it only translates to work. It only translates to the thing that you enjoy doing, which is this work. So there's times where we can get burnt out, but when we're looking at the thing that we love to do, we bring it right back into work.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I'm super fortunate about when it comes to my business, is that the great qualities and things that I've learned through dance and about myself, because the things that I do for myself, I'm learning more about myself. I apply it directly in the real estate. And just what you said, like, I got goosebumps from it. You were basically saying that, we can make mistakes, but, we don't completely drop the ball.
Yeah.
We got to go along with it. Like, I've done performances where in crowd of 100, 200 people where I might make the slightest mistake, but I know I did it.
Yeah.
They don't know I did it.
Yeah.
And if it's that apparent that they know I did it, they know that I'm going to be back in formation in no time.
Yeah.
So once it's done, it's done. We went from start to finish. We successfully did it. We are excited that we did that. And then, we're going to have a great day or a great night. And then the next day we're going to watch that video and we're going to be like, what can we improve on next?
Yeah.
So we can make sure that we have full confidence and really just full confidence on that next performance or that next practice.
Yeah, and I think that the critical piece that people, and again, it doesn't have to be something active or whatever. You could be doing pilot lessons on the side,
right,
or something like that. something that is going to push you to get wins that ultimately you can learn from and grow from. I think what we see, and it hit me in the head as you were talking, and it was a point that you made. We in the sales industry in particular have a lot of losses. Like, let's just be real about it. Like we stack up the losses, and it's really hard at times to find the wins. And a lot of people lack the ability to see the micro wins. So they're just constantly beating themselves up because they didn't hit their goal, or they didn't get that sale from, and they went to another realtor, they went to another mortgage company, yada, yada, yada. They don't then go back and look and go, well, what could I learn from this? What micro win did I actually get from this?
Right.
And then stack up the micro wins to the point to where you're like, oh, okay, now I got the macro win because I got the closing. I got the medal for being the best person at the competition, or whatever it might be. Some people don't ever get there because they can't figure out how to stack up micro wins to keep their mind right. To get them to the place to where they meet that breakthrough where they're like, oh man, now I get it. Now I understand. And it's definitely apparent on the real estate and mortgage side. You're going to have a lot of losses. You're going to lose a lot, and you're going to have situations where you just aren't going to win that scenario. And you could go to the place where you're like, I don't even know why I'm doing this anymore. I don't know why, blah, blah, blah. Or you could go, you know what, the micro win in this situation was that I got the opportunity to bid on $1 million listing.
Yes.
And I just got better from that. Or, you know, I got the opportunity to look at somebody's profile that had 7 tax returns, and I actually knew how to calculate the income on this one. Yeah, maybe I didn't get the deal, but I actually knew how to do this file this time.
Yes.
And take that micro win of like, I was confident in the income calculation in that moment. Maybe you didn't get the income from it, so that sucks.
Yeah.
But you at least have that micro win that you can go look at and go, okay, I'm getting better. I'm getting to that next phase. And that's the sports background in us that we understand that.
Right.
But I think that a lot of people lose sight of that. In football, it was, yeah, we might have lost that game, but that deep comeback route on the sideline, I actually completed that. And I haven't completed that like in a game ever.
Right.
You know, like practice is one thing, but like I actually completed that throw in a game. That was really cool. We lost by 40, but I have my micro win that I can stack on and stack on top of and figure out, all right, how do we put it all together now? You know, and I think I really see that as a big problem in the sales world, because I do think a lot of people in the sales world have no sports background, like none of that. And I can definitely tell the difference between a salesperson that has a sports background and doesn't, because the one that doesn't like gives up very fast, or like just doesn't understand adversity at all. And it's very evident very quickly. So if you're a parent watching this, get your kid in some sort of sport or competition. It doesn't have to be a physical sport, but get them competing.
Yeah, even if it's chess club, even if it's rocket club. They didn't let me go to football when I was in high school. So I had to go into rocket club, but I learned so much, and we did compete. And
you got to learn how to lose.
Yes. And people take the word lose, people take the word loss, people take the word L, or the letter L, as such a big thing. But the L is really learning. You're either winning or you're learning. Your learning is those micro wins. And even if you felt you didn't have any wins, like sometimes there is a day where I feel like I don't have any wins. You know what I do? I will like leave. I will walk out my door. I will go right in the middle of the street. I will turn around. I will look at my house. Like, I will look at the things that I'm very grateful for and what real estate has done for me. And I look at that and I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
This is great. Like, I've gotten this far. What else can I do?
Yeah.
Like, let's make sure that I get a micro win for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Even if it's just one micro win tomorrow, that's 1% better than I was the day before. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And honestly, if you're a real estate agent or you're a mortgage person, that micro win for the day could be something as small as, I got somebody to answer the phone today.
Yeah. Like somebody told me thank you.
Yeah.
Like just the simplest thing. And that's how that's how a lot of people don't succeed in this business that we're in, is that they don't wake up and think about like, whose life can I change today? Who can I help? Who can I be like, hey, I really appreciate that information.
Yeah.
All we have to do is just do that in repetition. And somebody's going to be like, hey, I got somebody I want you to talk to, or hey, I need to talk to you so we can make this go through. Like you said, you're giving information. Whether you don't get the business or not, they always will remember that.
Yeah.
And if they hear your name, or if they see your face, or even if you just reach out to them and be like, hey, who can I help? Whether they had a great experience or not, they're always going to remember that you've helped them with something, and that can always be fruitful for you.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% agree. And it's one of those situations to where, again, if you go into everything with expectation that you're going to receive something in return, that is going to be a lose scenario for you in life all the time. Like, that's just my opinion. Some people crush it in the sales world, thinking that they go into everything as a transaction and everything in return. I haven't moved my life through that, and I sleep super well at night. But I think that the giving of value to people will lead to a stronger business long term, rather than being all transactional. The reality is we have to get transactional on things. Like, we have to make the calls. We have to get transactional. We have to get sales. Like, we have to provide for our family. And that's the transactional piece. But you can be very human intentional while you're in that transaction with that person, to where you create long-term business, because during the transactional piece, you added a human element.
Absolutely.
You added a give a shit to it, and that's something that's really important to me. And maybe I haven't done as much production as some of the people on the street that are very transactional on the mortgage side, but I don't necessarily want to, like, I want to create a long-term foundation that leads to scale over time, which is the season of life that I'm in now.
Right.
Had I been super transactional before, I wouldn't have been laying the foundation over the last decade that I laid, that now gives me the ability to have value to drive to people and have certain things to drive to people that ultimately would have been maybe bad advice if I just went down the pure transactional route, and so that for me is a testament to the people I've been surrounded with. One of you being one of them, is I between my upbringing and the people that have been around me, I never lost my ability to really care for the human being.
Right.
I do genuinely care for the people that are in my environment, the clients that I come into contact with, because everybody's got a story. Everybody has a story, and if you lose sight of that, it just gets really muddy really fast. You can find yourself very ethically losing yourself. You find yourself losing your ethics very quickly.
Yes.
In a lot of these situations, if you get uber transactional, and especially in a down market, you're going to start becoming very unethical in a down market.
And people don't realize how unethical you can get, because
it's survival.
It's survival mode. And survival mode, when it comes to other people's money, when it comes to the biggest investment of their life, that's the worst position you can be in. Yeah. And that's when you have to come back and you have to really focus on your micro wins, because survival, I've heard of, because we're a team of like maybe about 12, 13, 14 full-time agents. So we talk all the time about other agents when they're in survival mode and they're trying to push something on someone when they're not just listening. Yeah. And that's a hard mode to be in. And we've all been there. Like we've all been there. Let's be accountable. Everybody has been in survival mode. It's if you get out, when you get out, and when you understand that even though you can be in survival mode mentally, you always got to be not only on your game, but you always got to keep it real. And you always have to let people know that, hey, listen, like, I'm going to provide you with the best service. Yeah. Whether we do make this transaction or whether we don't, it is what it is. If we walk into this home and you're in it for 5 seconds and you don't like it, let's get out of here. Let's move to that next one. All it is building up more people that you can help, and that will take you out of survival mode. and that will keep your ethics in place. Like that's really what it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that get in survival mode, those are the ones that are not waking up and having a routine. Those are the ones that are not practicing. Those are the ones that are not, thinking about those small wins, and I want to help more of those agents. Like, I wish agents could come to be like, listen, Steve, I'm in survival mode. Well, like, what can we do to get you out of that mode so we can get you focused on, making money, but actually changing people's lives and doing it with a good heart. That's it.
Yeah, and it's a great point. Survival mode will again make you make decisions about things that you otherwise wouldn't have made if you don't keep yourself in check and have those mirror moments in the morning where you're looking at yourself in the mirror going, I don't like what I'm seeing, because those 3 conversations I had yesterday were trying to talk people into things rather than providing the best service, the best information, and allowing them to make a decision. I'm trying to talk people into things rather and not actually advising them on which route to go. Ultimately, sometimes in sales, it feels like you're talking people into things when in reality, you're just hearing objections. They really want to do something. You're just trying to help them understand that what they want to do is okay.
Yeah.
It is a very, very fine line between I'm talking somebody and pushing somebody into something versus they need to be sold in a moment, and they do want to do this. It's just they need another voice to be like, hey, here's all the points that we talked about. You're kind of talking yourself out of this, when in reality, we're meeting all of the objections, the objections that you gave me at the beginning. We're meeting all of those, and you're still talking yourself out of it, So that's the sales piece that I believe in, not the, hey, a cash out refinance is the best thing for you right now because you've got these 3 credit cards that are charged up to $100,000. Don't pull that money out of your savings account to go pay this off. You should just remortgage yourself. Like in some situations, that's okay because they may need those cash reserves to feel comfortable.
Yeah, you give them options.
But in a lot of situations in my business, especially on the refi side, it's very easy to mysticize somebody and make it kind of mystical, and you make it look like it's the right thing to do when in reality it's not, and you should take a look in the mirror. And it happens a lot on the refi side in my industry, but there are a lot of great people out there that truly change people's lives with cash out refinances. But again, if you're operating out of fear and survival and not out of abundance, that if I just do the right thing here and talk to as many people as I can, but also do the right thing as I'm talking to as many people as I can, the abundance will come.
Yes.
You don't have to close every single person that you get on the phone with by going outside of your bounds of ethics and talking them into something or forcing them into something. You just need to have another conversation.
Yep.
And then another conversation. And then another conversation. And stay within yourself and within your bounds and your ethics, and then just keep having more conversations. Yeah. They will hit. It's just repetition.
And that's the thing, repetition of conversations. Like they need our help. They want to understand options. Like there's so many distractions out there that's preventing them to even get in front of you sometimes. And that's what it is. It's just constant conversations. And me, like, I'm a man of options. I listen to understand, and then I just want them to know all of their options and understand what they're looking for. And just like you said, like, hey, we see something and it's like it has all the criteria that we're looking for, let's keep it real. Like, what's really holding you back? Like, what can I do to help? Like, is there something that I don't know about? Conversations build trust.
Yeah.
Real conversations build trust. And it takes time to build trust with a lot of people. It may be a short amount of time for some, but a lot of times it takes time. Yeah. So get more people getting to trust you and understand that you're there to help.
Yeah.
So just get in front of more people.
And with trust, it's kind of like Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibilities, And it's one of those things where once you build that rapport and trust with people, some people will manipulate that. I'm going to be this guy to gain your trust, and then I can just get you to do whatever I want you to do. You've got to get yourself to a situation if you know that about yourself and you're in that situation where you are doing that, you're going to know you're doing that.
Yes.
So with great power, which is you have great power as a real estate agent or mortgage person or financial advisor or whatever to gain somebody's trust. And then once you have that trust, you can't then use that trust to manipulate them and take them to a place that makes you the most money or a product that makes you the most money, all that kind of stuff, which is very easy to do. Maybe not so much on your side, but like in the mortgage, financial planning, car business, whatever, it's very easy for us on that side of the fence to take somebody, to take somebody to the thing that makes us the most commission. Like as a branch. So like as a branch, we make a little bit more on government loans, So it's very easy for me, once I gain that trust of somebody, to be like, yeah, FHA is your best option when it's not, So that's what I mean, where with great power comes great responsibility. You gain that trust. You got to then be putting them in the best situation possible, not what is the best situation for you.
Absolutely.
And you see it time and time again, man, in the sales industry. You go in to a car dealership, let's say, and you're like, hey, I want a Ford Expedition. You're at a Ford dealership. And let me take you to this used one. It's a great deal. Well, no, of course, because you're going to make more money on it because your margin's higher in it. So it's that kind of stuff of like, you know what? Actually, this new car here has got the best warranty. We're actually at 0% right now. Like, that salesperson's going to make less on the new car, but it might be the right thing for that person that's buying the car.
Yo, I got a great story for you. So you don't know this. I did buy a new vehicle, and I miss my old vehicle, but it is what it is. I ran into the ground.
Yeah.
It did its job, paid it off. But it was the most frustrating thing. I'm shopping here in Myrtle Beach for a new vehicle. It was the most frustrating thing ever. Coming from a person of sales, because it's exactly the same thing. They're telling me things, but they're not listening. Yeah. There's only 4 things that I really wanted. I wanted a hybrid. I wanted something like a sports SUV. I want to make sure that when I jump into my car, it automatically connects, to my phone connects to the car, so I know where I'm going, blah, 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 Android, Apple, whatever. And then the next thing was, I just wanted to make sure that it was like push to start, or I can control it from my phone. Those 4 things, don't you know, I was in front of 5 dealerships here, and they just kept rambling off like all of these other things that I do not care about. They're like, what are you looking for? These 4 things. They're even looking at my wife, and they're like, oh, if you leave your purse. And my wife's like, this isn't about me. Like, this is about him. You got to sell him, not me. And I was so frustrated that I actually drove to Charlotte to buy a new vehicle because they just could not listen to me, and they couldn't be straight over. And I tell them, like, listen, I'm in sales. So like we can do this deal together, but you cannot force me to do something that I don't want to do. And I drove 3 hours, got my vehicle, brought it back. They reached out like, hey, did you ever buy? I'm like, yeah, I bought the vehicle. I went 3 hours out. I told you I'll even make a flight to get what I want, as long as I'm getting great service. So it was a frustrating thing as a salesperson, because people always say, used car salesman.
Yeah.
It was funny to me because I didn't know what that was like, because I'm an agent that's not that. But when I'm dealing with something that involves me and my money, and I'm dealing with a car salesman that is not listening to me, it's the most frustrating thing ever. I walked out on 2 of them. I said, listen, we're done here. Like, I'm walking out. Yeah. We're good. So don't be that person.
Yeah.
Car salesman, don't be that person, please.
Yeah. And honestly, dude, I've bought and sold more cars than I care to admit.
Oh my gosh. You had a new car every 2 years.
You know that about me. It's rough you can tell if it's a bad time in the mortgage business because I have a car more than a year. So that's the litmus test if you ever see me around. But honestly, you're 100% right when it comes to the car business. I experience the same thing every time I buy a car. And honestly, I usually buy cars away from the beach. A lot of the dealerships here, it is that way. But it also translates into all sales.
Yes.
I think we all can get into that tendency in the sales world to think we know what's best for somebody and not listen to them during the onboarding process. So your onboarding process during the car purchase was, hey, these are the 4 things that I need. And I'm sure you hit them because you're in sales. You hit them with that at the beginning. And then they proceeded to not take anything into account about the 4 things that would have made you comfortable about the transaction. And I see it constantly in the mortgage industry. I see it constantly in the real estate industry. I see it in insurance. I see putting what you believe is best for somebody on them and going, here's why I disregarded all of the things that you told me were important to you. And this is why you need to do this.
Yep.
Without bringing it back full circle to say, hey, I know that you said that you needed push button start, but you also said that your budget's this. So one of the things about push button start is it's going to add $2,500 to the price of the car. And you said you wanted to be here. This is a great option. Doesn't have push to start. Still got the app though. And you get all of these 3 other features that you were looking for. You're just going to have to turn the key once you get in the car, but you can still start it from your app. It'll automatically connect to your phone once you get in the car. It does everything else that you want it to do, but I'm going to save you $2,500. You just got to turn the key in the car, you know?
Absolutely.
So if somebody would have hit you with that, you would have been like, all right, they're listening to me and they're trying to get me a better deal. And you go, oh shoot, I got to buy from here because this guy actually heard me and heard what I said. And then in that moment, you could go, hey, man, thank you so much for trying to save me that money. I'm cool spending the extra money to get the push button.
Yeah, you might actually spend way more. Be like, oh, I didn't even think about this. And you could spend $5-6 grand more.
Yeah.
And then it's like houses. Like when you add the mortgage aspect into it, if you're financing the car, a lot of times it doesn't make sense for you to that $2,500 that you're talking about. It doesn't make sense. So
to give up that feature that you really want.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's all about just listening. And people don't care that I'm a multi-million-dollar producer. Like, I don't care that you got 20 awards up here. Like, I really care about if you care about me. Like, if you care about me, I care about you. And I care about what you're going to do for me to make sure that not even if I'm getting the best deal, but if I trust you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And that's the thing on my side, like on the mortgage side, somebody, the biggest thing that people come to me with right now is I really want my payment to be here. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like we'll work towards that and we'll try to see if we can get your payment there. But I'm also going to go the step further to be like, hey, I can get your payment here. But to be honest with you, like it's going to cost you like 10 grand in points to get your payment there. And then like the reality is if rates came down, I could get your payment there a year from now, and it would cost you no extra money other than just refinancing it, which is not going to cost you 10 grand in points that you're going to lose if you get the opportunity to refinance it later. So why don't you, I'm hearing you, here's the option that gives you what you want, but also the long-term vision of this is in a year's time, if we get the opportunity to refinance, you lost all of that money that you spent in points, and it may not be the best option. I just want to show you, hey, look, like, can you afford to just take that $100 more a month on your chin right now? And then once you get the opportunity to refinance later, you could bring that monthly down, or you can accomplish it through a 2-1 buy down, whatever. Like, so you're taking what they're saying to you, but you're giving them their options to see, oh, okay, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. He's
got a good point there. I probably shouldn't do it that way, which no skin off my back. It doesn't matter. I'm going to get paid the same.
Exactly.
It's just, it's not the financial thing to do in that moment. And on the real estate side, it could be, I really want to have gas. I really want to have granite countertops. I want to make sure that it's this many square feet, whatever. So you give them the options that accomplish that.
Yes.
But then you also need to follow up that, hey, what I really heard was that you've got another kid on the way, and the square footage actually probably is the thing that you're the most worried about. You need that extra bedroom. I can get you that extra bedroom in this house. You're just not going to get the gas fireplace, but you will get the granite.
Yep.
So that's the kind of thing that I feel superior agents do that build that rapport really, really quickly is they listen. They don't just go into it going, I need to get them to buy the first house that I take you to. You listen and go, all right, here's the needs. I'm only going to accomplish 4 needs with this house, but I'm going to accomplish all the needs with this house. It just may not be in the same area that they want to be in. I'm going to take a chance to show them this house because this is really going to accomplish what they want.
Absolutely.
And it's still a great area. So I think people lose sight of that. They just try to do the easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
And the easy way out is to not listen and just go, here you go. Here's the 4 houses we're going to go see. They mark off most of what you want to see, you know, and
Exactly.
don't think outside the box to get people more value or something that they really want.
I agree with you, man. That's exactly how it is.
Yeah. And it's crazy to see just how many people don't go the extra step. Like, you got that person.
Yeah.
Like, now let's go to the step to where you end up making a client for life that at the end of the transaction is very easy to call them up and be like, hey, do you know anybody else in your family that's going to buy real estate in the next few years? A lot of the times whenever you go very transactional, you don't feel comfortable making that call afterwards. And that right there is a tall tale sign. If you don't feel comfortable making that call afterwards, you probably didn't do right by that person.
Yep. If you don't make it, I love that you said that. Like, if you don't find comfort in reaching out to the person that you sold a home to, there's something up. Now, if you reach out to them, you know, they'll love you, I'm sure. But if they don't love you and you reach out to them at that end of that call, they're going to have a lot of respect knowing that, hey, you tried your best. And great agents have all experienced that at least once, twice, maybe a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then also too, what I like to tell people is that, and tell agents that you need to really, like you were saying, like the square footage, the baby, those are the most important things. And then these other things will be added bonuses. But what I tell people is that, you know, typically you're looking at least a minimum of about 75% of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And the 75% are the things that more than likely you can't change, like square footage, location of the home, you know, if it has the yard that's suitable, things like that. Yeah. But the other 25%, that's the love that you're going to put into that home when you're redecorating this home for your child, when you're maybe, you know, switching, maybe painting a room, painting cabinets, maybe changing flooring, and you give them more options of that. If there's not something that meets 80%, 90%, or 100%, you know, there's no perfect home. No. And for a lot of people, it's not the last home. And what a lot of agents don't understand is that there's a lot of people out there that really want to do something that had a bad experience. Yeah. I just closed an awesome couple, you know, that work at a Coastal Carolina University. They didn't buy last year because they had a horrible experience with an agent, and they just decided we're just going to continue renting. And I've built a tremendous amount of trust to where it's like, hey, he's like, yo, come on over. You know, I sent him barbecue. You know, I went over his house, did barbecue. He's like, hey, I want to meet you. I want to have you and the wife come over. Like, I love his family. I love them. They're amazing. But it's sad because that there's more people out there that did not get in front of the right person the first time, and they wait because of that. Yeah. It's a real thing.
And could lose hundreds of thousands of dollars if they wait and then ultimately not get in the game. Like, imagine somebody that waited in 2016, 2017, 2018. And then they're like, you know what? I'll wait. And then they bought in 2020, 2021. Like, they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in our area, more than they ever should have if they would have just went ahead and jumped off the cliff in 2018. I mean, I bought a few houses in 2018, sold them in 2021, 2020, and did very, very well. Yes. So it's just one of those things. Like, if we can be the light in the darkness and be the change in industries, I think that we've got to do everything that we can to do that. And that's my passion project right now, is like, all right, I've gone through this decade of this business and I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly of it. Now I want to be a change agent, and now I want to put out as much content as I can to make sure that it changes, and give as many tools as I can to try to help people level up. And you can look at me as somebody to help you with that. Or you can say, he's not done as much production as me, so I can't learn anything from them. Like, that's the difference in humans. Like, I learn things from loan officers that I work with that do way less production than I do. And I learn things from people that do way more production than I do. Everybody's got something to give. And I don't think so highly of myself that I can't learn something even from the homeless guy that I run into at the gas station. I'm the weirdo that goes like, dude, tell me your story. Why are you here?
Dude, I'm so that weirdo.
Like, what? And it makes my wife upset because I'm always like trying to figure out people's story, but I like podcasting. So like, I want to know people's story. And at some point, like, there's a guy that I can think of right now that I know is homeless and I've seen at gas stations before, but he's got a crazy cool story. I'm going to try to get him on the podcast. I'm going to try to find that dude and get him on the podcast. His story's insane. So it's just one of those things of, once you start thinking so highly of yourself that you can't bring yourself down to try to understand other people, number one, I think your sales career long-term is going to be either stunted or it's going to end at some point, because you're going to do something that gets your license taken. Or you're just going to be, you're going to be empty. You know, there's going to be no substance. There's going to be nothing to what you do. And I check myself all the time. You know, like, dude, I'm 100% open about this stuff. There's been times in my life where it's like, dude, Mike's an egomaniac. Like, what is wrong with that dude right now? And I check myself after about 6 months and go, dude, what are you doing, man? Like,
oh yeah,
no wonder nobody wants to be around you. You're an asshole. So it's the cycles of life and being able to kind of take that moment and go, oh, yeah, whoops. Yeah, shouldn't have done that.
and you know, the cool thing about it too is that, like, you know, you have that self-awareness about yourself. And I went through that myself. Like, this year, you know, I remember when we first sat down and you told me this was close to a decade ago. You're like, I want to do podcasts. I'm like, bro, that is great. And then we didn't do a damn thing.
Yeah, we didn't do nothing about it.
And then you were doing your thing. I was doing my thing. And then it comes around to it is like, the more that we don't do the things that we feel a connection to and we have passion about, like, we lose sleep over that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I read I'm gonna send it to you. I read a really great book about creativity. And it really ties in what you were saying is about you learn from other people and other stories and experiences. Yeah. And this book inspired me to even up my own social media game for this year. And what the book is talking about is, like, people always want to compare themselves to other people. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that, or if they feel that they can do something somebody else did, is copying. Like, copying is plagiarism. But you can always look at somebody and be inspired by it. Mm-hmm. And be inspired to do what they just did, and then just make the tweaks that is unique to you. And I wish that so many loan officers that, you know, could be in survival mode or needs help will reach out to you. I would love for agents to just reach out to me and be like, hey, Steve, like, I'm struggling right now. Like, what do I need to do? Like, hold me accountable. Like, I want to help people. And pride does get in the way when it comes to getting that help. Yeah. And even for you, it's like, you know, like, our ego and our pride can get in the way. And then we have to hear from an outside source like, yo, you're fucking up. Yeah. Like, and a lot of times if it's outward, we see it. Mm-hmm. But if it's internal, like, you know, if you're an agent from another brokerage, I see you all the time. I'm asking you how your business is doing genuinely. You know, it's nothing to brag about, but genuinely asking how you're doing, how your business is doing. And you're telling me it's going great, like, I will always take your word for it. Brett Brenham is one of the main reasons why, he's one of the big reasons why I'm successful today. And you're one of the main reasons why I'm successful today, is because both of you at an integral point in my life, like, told me something or did something in front of me that's like, I got to make that change too. Brett's the one's like, how's your business going? This was at my first brokerage that I was at, and I was like, it's going good. He's like, how's it really going? Mm-hmm. Like, how's it really going? Yeah. And I'm like, I'm trying. I love this stuff, and I'm trying, and I feel like there's something I'm missing. I never knew that there was like there was teams and training. I never knew about none of that stuff. So he opened my eyes to move my stubbornness, my ego, that I think that I'm so good, but I know I'm not, because he saw it. And then I moved brokerages, and, you know, it was almost like starting over. Actually, it was starting over, because not only I left the brokerage, my previous brokerage, I quit my job. I believed so much of myself, I became a full-time agent. Yeah. That was about 2017, I want to say late 2017. And I was like, you know, I'm doing this for myself. Yeah. I want to be better. I see the tools, much like you say, when we see the tools and what we can grow to be. Yeah. That really moved me. So like, I want to help agents like that. And you went through your ups and downs. Yeah. You know, doing this on your own, you know, your family had your back, but you were grinding on your own. Yeah.
For a lot of years.
Yes. Like, and people, I want people to know, like, we're here to help you. Like, you can call me anytime, be like, yo, I'm struggling. I'm not paying my bills. Like, dude, let's see what we can do. Like, let's see what we can do to change you. Like, I'm not a recruiter. Like, we're not recruiters. Yeah. We're people that help you. Like, this is our community. Yeah. We want to help our community first. And I just want to say that, because I feel like people really need to know.
Yeah, I think people get themselves into bad situations and they're too prideful to reach out and say, hey, man, even if it's a situation where it's a shoulder to cry on, yes. You know, the last thing, and I've experienced this, I know you've probably experienced this. The last thing I ever want to see is somebody not here anymore because they didn't reach out. They didn't call, and talk to somebody. And I will answer your phone call at 3 a.m. If that's what you're going through. Like, right. Dude, I need to talk. Like, I'm probably going to be awake and I'm probably going to answer that call. But if you call me at 3 a.m. and I don't answer and it's for that reason, please just wait till 7 a.m. and call me again and I'll answer.
And text me and leave me a voicemail, please.
Yeah, like SOS, something like,
yes.
Like, dude, just call and get the help that you need. And outside of that, like, I remember one conversation in particular, which is a hot button topic, but like, I could see, and I think you said something to me about it. And I was like, hey man, like, the reality is, in the market that you're in, because you're African-American, there are going to be times that you're at a disadvantage.
Absolutely.
And like, you got to just plow through that. I remember that conversation vividly. Yeah. And I don't think that anybody probably ever had the balls to just have a real conversation with you about that and be like, dude, like, there are going to be situations where you're going to have to work twice as hard because you're in the South and you're African-American and you're working in real estate. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. So like, you either take that and be like, dude, I hate everybody. Or what you did was, no, fuck that, man. Like, I'm going to go and grind and be the best ever, you know? And those tough conversations are what true friendships are about.
Absolutely.
And you didn't, and you knew from me that like, I don't care about that kind it stuff.
But you know, other people may care about that stuff.
Yeah. And you didn't, and the way that we talked about it, like, it wasn't like, dude, like, it wasn't a crutch. Like, you understood where I was coming from in that moment. And you understood that, like, I really care about you and you need to stop being a victim in that moment and just go get it, man, because create what you want. And it sucks that we have to have conversations like that. It's not fun, man. It's something that should just go away. But ultimately, we have to deal what we got to deal with, you know. And
absolutely,
I'm just grateful that you allowed me in that moment to have a conversation like that with you, and know that, like, I love you, and I was saying it out of, like, love for you. Like, hey, absolutely, that's the reality, and we just got to deal with it, man. And I got your back. You know, I'll make sure that if a client ever hits me with that you sent me, I'm going to check them on that crap right away.
Exactly.
And it's just, it's cool to have friends like that. You've checked me in different moments of my life. And, yeah, man, like I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for what we're embarking on in 2025. Definitely excited for 2026 and launching the foundation and kind of getting into that. But dude, we're always learning. Like we're no matter if we do 100 million in a year as a single agent, or if we do 2 million in a year,
Exactly.
we're going to learn something from that.
Yep.
And what I have a fundamental problem with that I see a lot, specifically in our high school music, what I call the high school musical market that we're in Myrtle Beach, the drama that we deal with sometimes in our market, that's very high school drama, where I have a fundamental problem is somebody talking down to somebody about their production.
Absolutely.
I don't that's not something that I like, because that $2 million, if they're in year 2 of their business, might be something that completely changed their life, because they do have another job over here.
Yep.
And boom, they just paid their car off, which now allows them to get into what they're doing full time.
Absolutely.
So you just never know what somebody's going through. I've been attacked over like being a branch manager, and they're like, what are you going to learn from Mike? His production is this. I was like, well, dude, you don't even understand the amount of balls that I have in the air. You know, like the fact that I'm still the top producer for a branch while doing all of this other stuff. Like, who are you to say what should be the thing? Like you are just a salesperson, you
Exactly.
know, you're not helping 15 loan officers at the same time. So you just never know what somebody's dealing with. So before you go and say something like that, if you're one of those people, think before you speak, because you could derail somebody's career with something like that.
Yes. It's so small here.
You say something like, well, why is that person even doing this? Or why is this person doing this? Or you start talking crap about them. You might get somebody that is right about to be changing their life financially to quit, because maybe they have a weak moment and they quit because they just can't take the drama of it anymore. And they just go, to hell with this, man. I'm going to go back to bartending or whatever.
Exactly.
Like, dude, just think before you speak, man. Like it's not something that's worth you looking cool in front of a group of people because you go, I do the most production. Like, dude, nobody cares. Like nobody cares in that moment. Just be you and be authentic and just do what you're supposed to do. Like, who cares?
Yeah. I agree. Like, just be authentic. You know, we're in the Grand Strand, Horry County. Like, you know, even though we have a high influx of people moving here, the people that live here and work here, like, it's very small. And I still think it's going to be that way for a very long time. And, you know, like for me, I don't dabble in like bad talk and things like this. When you're talking bad about somebody, it shows the character of who you are. And also too, the majority of bad talk about a lot of people is like through their transactions.
Yeah.
But people don't understand, like, we can't control other people.
Yeah.
We can only do the best that we can for our client. We can't control what they do.
Yeah.
You want to say that, you know, you have you got a crazy client or something like that, or, you know, somebody's acting up. Like, you can't control that. The most that you can do is be professional and be there for someone. And whether the deal goes through or if it doesn't, I'm always going to give you the highest amount of respect, because I know that you're dealing with something that I don't know about on your side, or vice versa. Yeah. Because we're here with the same goal. We want everybody to be happy. We want a win-win situation. Yeah. So you know, I just want to let agents know, like don't talk bad about other agents. Don't talk about how bad other agents' productions are. You don't know what's going on in their life. And at most, if you ever feel pent up about something, like, dude, just call them. Just call, like, hey, what's going on? Yeah. Like, just talk. Just talk to people. Communicate. Because it's when you do that so much, you will be known for it in this area. And not only that, like, you won't even know you're known for it. Yeah. Because nobody doesn't want to speak negative, but they will know what they're up against when they have to work with you. Yeah. And we don't want that type of bad.
I love those uncomfortable conversations, though. Like when I know, and because to be honest, like, I have people that will send me screenshots of people that like to talk about me. Mm-hmm. And I don't call, I don't say anything, but if I see them face to face, I'm going to give you a real uncomfortable feeling, because I'm going to be like, hey man, how you doing?
Yeah.
Heard you know a lot about me. You know, like I love those uncomfortable moments because it's the reality of it is there's a lot of very weak people in this world.
Yes.
And they will do what they're going to do behind closed doors. But the second you get face to face with them, oh man, I don't know what you're talking. What? No. What are you talking? What?
Exactly.
I'm like, okay, dude. Now I know who I'm dealing with. Now I know exactly who I'm dealing with. And it's not an upper hand thing or anything. It's just like I love those uncomfortable moments where it's like, hey, I heard you know a lot more about me than I even know about me. You want to talk about it? You want to go grab a drink? Like,
yeah,
we're here, like we're at this thing. Like, why don't we go grab a drink and talk about how much you know about me? Because it's look at this, look at what this person sent me. You know, like I love those moments. I don't know why. I find them very fun.
And here's why it's fun is because you're going to be able to understand within a few seconds of how that person is.
Yeah.
And if that person's like, you know what, let's go have a drink and talk about it.
Yeah.
That may be the best friendship that you're probably going to have with that person because they're going to be honest with you and you're going to be honest with them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, listen, let me keep it real. This is how it is right here.
Yeah. And I've had people in those situations go, hey man, I'll be honest with you. This is what I think about you. And yeah, maybe I don't know you very well, but I've heard a couple of things. And I think that like, if these things are true, like I got a fundamental problem with them, you know? And I've had people hit me with stuff and I'm like, all right, respect that, man. But here's the reality of the situation. And you as a person, if you ever get hit with that, if you like to go and have these uncomfortable conversations and address people that are potentially talking about you, number one, I don't think you should ever do it on social media. Like, don't roll into somebody's DMs going, oh, why are you talking about me? No, that's weak. Like the next time you see that person in real life, you have the direct conversation with them. And sometimes you're just going to have haters that you're never going to see in person, and you just ignore them. But if it's somebody in your marketplace that you know and that you've got proof has been talking about you, be very professional and have a very face-to-face conversation with them. And I've even gone to the lengths of just showing up at their office, going, "Hey, we need to talk about this. You know, there's something going on here, and I really want to figure out why we're on different wavelengths here. Let's talk about it."
In a professional conversation like that, don't you know, like, not only your level of professionalism goes up, but your confidence level. Because if you can defend yourself professionally and, you know, just leave on even grounds or great grounds with somebody and have no hate or animosity, imagine what you can do when you're up with a very strong client or something like that, and you're having those real uncomfortable conversations about them.
Yeah.
You know, about changing their life, about what they want to do.
Their situation.
Their situation. So it's so important for people to just stand up for them. Stand up for yourself. Don't talk bad about them. Like
don't do it angry. Don't be angry. You are weak if you go into these situations and do them out of anger. I do them with a big smile on my face, and I find it very fun. And maybe it's fun. Like, I don't know. I don't know why I think it's fun, but I think it's interesting to see the human that you end up addressing with this situation and just seeing how they react. The facial mannerisms. Like I'm very like people reader, and I can tell if you're lying to me if you go, dude, I never said anything about you. Like I look me in the eye, man. I love you. You're probably not gonna say that if you don't know him very well, but like, dude, I didn't say anything about you. I don't know like what you're talking about. You're not somebody that is on my wavelength. Like, I don't care what you do. I'd be like, all right, yeah, cool. This person over here, hey man, you're saying that you didn't talk about me. I 100% believe you. Let's call this person and be like, why are you creating drama? Yeah. And I've done that before. I'd be like, no, dude, I 100% believe you. And I call the person that told me and I go, hey, I'm here with so-and-so. You said that they said this about me. They're saying they didn't say it, and I actually believe them. Can you tell me? And like had the person hang up on me because they literally just creating drama for no reason.
Exactly.
And it's one of those things, man, where like you said, you can gain some self-confidence and some power from that of not that, again, it's not an upper hand thing for me. It's just, I want them to know what my character is. I'm not going to say anything behind your back.
Right.
I have people close to me that I'll vent to that are my spouse or something like that. Like, hey, I heard this person say something about me, and that really sucks, you know, because like maybe they worked for me at one point, or I thought they were a friend or whatever. But I don't go to events or to the masses and be like, hey, you know, that person really sucks because they talked about me or whatever.
Right.
Like, it's just weak, man. It's just dumb. And if you're not in my inner circle and you just know me and you're not in my inner circle, you will never hear me say another word about another person.
Exactly.
And it's just one of those things, man. Like it now, if you are somebody that's in somebody's inner circle that has that trust from somebody, and then you violate that trust because your friend is venting to you, and then you go create drama with that information, you suck as a friend.
Yes.
You suck as a friend, because I have like 4 people that are that close with me, 4 or 5 people that are that close with me, and I trust them. I know that they're not going to go say drama out in the other places because I'm just venting to them in a moment. And a lot of times they're like, dude, don't even sweat it, man. Just like, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, you won't see me talking to some random bad about another mortgage company or an agent or whatever. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to do something really bad to me for me to be in public going, this person sucks.
And you're like, I don't know what that is yet.
Yeah.
But don't make me find out.
Yeah. Like, you'd have to do something real bad to me for me to be in just some random room with somebody I don't know and go, that person sucks. Like,
bro, are you the one that killed my dog?
Yeah. Your old E-Bomb. I don't know if you remember E-Bomb's world. Your daughter, she came over, she kicked my dog.
Bro. See, another gray hair just came out.
Yeah. You remember E-Bomb's world? Like the little soundboards?
Yep.
Oh, shoot. That got my mind back to 2005, 2006. The Arnold soundboards.
Yes.
And the crank calls that we would
crank
do.
call soundboard.
Oh, shoot. No, man, like I appreciate you being on. I think we're definitely going to have some great short form content that comes from this one.
Yeah.
Definitely want to have you on again. And I think like Steve said, if you're an agent that you're struggling, dude, reach out to him.
Please.
He's not going to be like, oh, you need to come work for my team. He's going to genuinely just listen to you. I know that about him. And he'll do everything that he can to help you, and at worst case, just be kind of a sounding board. And same thing for me. I don't care if you're in my market. I don't care if you're out of my market. If you're a loan officer that is struggling mentally, financially, whatever it might be, I'm happy to jump on a call with you and just listen, give you whatever advice I can give you about your situation. I'm not going to recruit you. It's definitely a confidential call. Yep. If you do have struggles with your company, whatever it might be, just reach out. I'm a great listener. In those kind of calls, I might say 4 words.
Yeah.
Unless you want me to talk to you, but I'm just going to sit and listen and listen to what you've got going on, and hopefully be somebody that can help get your mind in the right place, you know?
Definitely. And just one last thing, like, surround yourself with like-minded people, like very strong like-minded people. Well, let me rewind that. Surround yourself by very strong-minded people.
Yeah.
Because you only want to become better. So I don't necessarily want to say like-minded unless they are looking to improve themselves and build you up as well. And that's the one thing you need to do. There are so many great agents, loan officers. There's so many great people in this business that would help you tremendously and not want anything back from you. So just use me, Mike, anybody that you feel inspired by as a resource. Use them. Like, we're here. We're here.
Yeah. So this is the end of episode 3. Appreciate you, Steve.
Yes, sir.
If you got anything from this podcast, please share the podcast. Please share it with somebody that you think could get value from it. There's no fee for the podcast. There's no advertisements on the podcast. My only fee to you is that you share it with somebody that it might be able to help, and reach out if you need anything. If you think that you have a great story, please reach out to me on one of my social media outlets. I would love to get you on the podcast and tell people about you and your story. So reach out. Appreciate you guys. Hope you got something from it, and see you next time.
See ya.